All right, ready to dive deep into some fascinating material today.
Yeah, always excited to see where these deep dives take us.
This one is particularly interesting, I think. It's a story by Rabbi Nachman of Breslov.
Oh, I'm familiar with some of his work. Very mystical and thought-provoking.
Definitely. And, we got a request to unpack this story with a specific focus on Kabbalistic interpretations.
So we're going full esoteric today.
Sounds like it. The source material is an excerpt from what's called Okwe, which you can think of as the pasted text.
Okay, interesting name.
Yeah. And the story itself is called La, or the Lamp of Shortcomings.
Intriguing title. So what's this lamp of shortcomings all about?
Well, it starts with the son who's been away for years, mastering the craft of making these hanging lamps.
A dedicated craftsman?
You could say that. So he comes back home super excited, gathers all these local lamp experts, the best of the best, to show off his masterpiece, this amazing lamp he's crafted.
A proud moment for any artisan.
Right. But here's the twist. Instead of praise and admiration, every single artisan finds a flaw with it.
Oh, wow, that's got to be disheartening.
Totally. So the father's like, well, if everyone sees it as flawed, what's even the point of this lamp?
Yeah, good question. What does the son say to that?
His response is actually the key to understanding the deeper layers of this story. He says the lamp isn't imperfect by accident.
So it's intentional.
Very much so. He explains that he made it this way on purpose, incorporating all the little weaknesses, the shortcomings, he observed in each of those craftsmen over the years.
He took all the flaws and put them into one lamp.
Exactly. Like, one guy might be amazing at shaping the metal, but his soldering is a bit messy. Another one is great at the decorative elements, but his proportions are always a little off.
Interesting. So he's essentially created a composite of all their imperfections. And this ties into Kabbalah how?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The son actually says outright that he could have made a perfect lamp, a flawless one, but he chose not to.
There's a deliberate choice in the imperfection. Okay, I'm starting to see the connection.
This idea of choosing imperfection resonates deeply with the Kabbalistic concept of shivirat hakalim, the shattering of the vessels.
Right, I've heard of that. But could you break it down a bit? How does this lamp, this collection of imperfections, relate to that concept?
Okay, so in Kabbalah, there's this idea that during creation, the divine light was held in these vessels, but they were too fragile to contain such intense energy.
So they shattered.
Yeah, they shattered, scattering fragments of those vessels throughout creation. Now think of the sun's lamp with all its flaws as representing those scattered fragments.
Each imperfection is like a piece of a broken vessel.
Exactly. And just like those broken vessels, each artisan's individual flaw is incomplete on its own. It's only by understanding them together as a whole that we can start to see the bigger picture.
Okay, that's a powerful image. And this brings new meaning to Rabbi Nachman's commentary that from understanding the limitations and imperfections of things, we learn to grasp their essence.
It's not about focusing on what's missing or broken, but about recognizing how those imperfections actually reveal something deeper about the nature of reality. We see those flaws in the lamp, and we're pushed to consider this concept of a fragmented creation, of a wholeness that's been broken apart.
And then the natural next step from there is tikkun olam.
Repairing the world.
Yeah. In Kabbalah, acknowledging this brokenness, the shivirat hakalim, is the first step towards that repair.
So in a way, the son, by creating this flawed lamp and then pointing out those flaws, is actually initiating that process of tikkun, right?
Exactly. He could have just made a perfect lamp. But by showing us the flawed one, by highlighting the brokenness, he's actually demonstrating a higher level of understanding. He's not ignoring the reality of our fragmented state. He's using it as a starting point for something more.
It's a very different way of looking at things. I mean, usually when we encounter limitations, either in ourselves, in our work, in the systems around us, we see it as a negative.
Right. We focus on fixing it, on erasing those imperfections.
But this story and the Kabbalistic ideas behind it suggest maybe there's another way to approach it. Maybe those imperfections, those limitations, are actually essential parts of a larger picture.
Like puzzle pieces, maybe? You need all of them, even the ones that seem a bit wonky or misshapen, to actually complete the image.
I like that. So maybe the real challenge isn't about achieving some kind of impossible perfection, but about learning to see how all those seemingly broken pieces actually fit together.
And through that understanding, maybe we can start to see a path towards repairing, towards creating something truly whole and meaningful.
So to all our listeners out there, maybe this week, try looking at things a bit differently. Think about an area of your life where you've run into some serious limitations.
Whether it's a personal struggle, a project that just won't come together, or even a system that feels broken, just take a moment to think about it through this lens.
How might those limitations be like pieces of a larger, maybe temporarily incomplete picture?
And could acknowledging them, understanding them, be the key to finding a solution, to making that picture whole again?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this step dive.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time.